exotic strength, metamaterials and self-healing structures. The technical rationale between the cycles to failure and service life. In a metal fatigue case, we examine the static strength, assuring the load-carrying capacity of the structure for a single load test cycle, up to preserve maximum load magnitude. Limit minus load, multiplied by the factor safety. By this we extract the cycles to failure. The service life or fracture control requirements address the time-based or usage-induced damage mechanism that degrade the structural load capacity and functionality of the structure. The exotic strength refers to the static strength. Below you can see the process of a progressive localized permanent structural damage. Exotic strength, metamaterials and self-healing structures. Metamaterials, due to their left-handed properties' negative refractive index and polarization reversals, can contribute significantly to enrich the safety factor index with novelties applications, when they used to capture undetected propagation causes or events prior to crack nucleation during the initiation stage. This proposition requires thoroughly documentation when it is combined with self-healing strategies or self-healing materials that are operate in time-dependence domain configurations. The use of metamaterials in relation with metal fatigue can contribute in a more linear configuration with power handling and dynamic loads, as it can minimize or prevent damages from plastic metal deformations effects. The safety index refers to the overall process. The safety index refers to the overall process. Remember, you do not and should not have the time to respond to reconfigure in piece by piece a potential or sudden structural failure in space, so you should develop a structural safety strategy during your spaceship's designs. Following the hierarchy of plans, the overall strategic goal is the structural safety strategy is based on the safety index, as an overall process not only from the partial materials properties. The strategic policy refers to the prevention design structural strategy, to the define the repair time domain between the two-sided strategies, and to the attempt to extend the time to structural failure formulation strategies. For each one of these strategies, there are the particular processes selections, forming the strategic material selections, that leads to the tactical requirement and test verification action plan. Exotic strength, metamaterials and self-healing structures. The process of a progressive localized permanent structural damage in proposition with the life cycles for metal fatigue tests. The S-N curve. Linear versus logarithmic. The constant life, or the Hay diagram. The Goodman diagram. The Palmer minor linear damage rule. The three torsion fatigue modes. Exotic strength, metamaterials and self-healing structures. After you have configured the data acquisition systems, you can select the data usage and life cycles diagrams for metal fatigue control. The S-N curve. Linear versus logarithmic. The log scale on a S-N data curve linearize the result over a range of applied stress amplitudes. The Basquin power law relation define the finite fatigue life in the linear region. The stress ratio. The constant life, or the Hay diagram. The S-and fatigue data can be transformed into a constant life diagram, as a function of the applied alternating and mean stress via the test data points at specific cycles of failure. This particular diagram can have the following simple representation: the Goodman diagram. The Palmer minor linear damage rule. Linear damage accumulation to define the cycle life of bearings. The three torsion fatigue modes: tensile opening, torsion plane fatigue and the lateral displacement. Exotic strength, metamaterials and self-healing structures. Some remarks for plastic deformation in relation with healing structures. The elastic limit of a material defines the stress level, below which the strains are reversible. Plastic irreversible deformation occurs primarily by slip along the crystallographic planes of a material. The slip mechanism can be detected by local shear stress affecting the crystal orientation. For the self-healing materials, the major practical consideration between hard and soft healing conditions extends also the characterization of the structures, predetermine several design parameters concerning the axis of the repeatability of the self-healing results local area for physical inspections, especially when it is used as structural element to support underneath interior with a functional part, or to place a hold compartment segment. Your basics in brief. The exotic strength refers to the static strength. The safety index refers to the overall process. The structural safety strategy is based on the safety index, as an overall process not only from the partial material's properties. The elastic limit of a material defines the stress level, below which the strains are reversible. Plastic irreversible deformation occurs primarily by slip along the crystallographic planes of a material.